I used to believe that betrayal had a sound, something loud, something obvious, something you could hear come before it shattered your life. But I was wrong. Betrayal is silent. It slips into your life unnoticed, dressed in familiarity, wrapped in trust. And by the time you feel it, it's already too late. The night everything changed started like any other. Rain tapped softly against the glass windows of my apartment, a slow, rhythmic sound that usually calmed me after long days at work. The city outside was glowing, golden lights reflecting on wet roads, cars moving like streams of fire. Inside, everything felt warm, safe mine. I remember standing in the kitchen barefoot, stirring pasta while my phone buzzed on the counter. I smiled without even checking. It had to be Ethan. Ethan Carter. The man I had loved for 3 years. The man I thought I would marry. The man I trusted more than anyone else in this world. Baby, don't wait up. Late meeting. Love you. That's what the message said. Simple. Normal. A lie. I didn't know it then, of course. Back then, I was still the girl who believed love meant loyalty, that promises meant something, that forever wasn't just a word people used when it was convenient. I plated the food anyway, set the table for 2, because that's what you do when you love someone. You wait, even when you shouldn't. Hours passed. The pasta turned cold. The rain got heavier. My chest felt strange, not pain exactly. Just a quiet discomfort sitting somewhere deep inside me, a feeling I couldn't explain. So I did something I had never done before. I checked his location. It wasn't something I was proud of. I had always trusted Ethan blindly. But that night, something pushed me. Something whispered that I needed to look. And when the map loaded, my entire world shifted. He wasn't at the office. He was across town, at a luxury hotel. My heart didn't break in that moment. It froze. There's a difference. Breakage is loud. It shatters. It screams. But freezing? That's quiet. It's when your body goes numb because it refuses to process what your mind already understands. No! There has to be a reason, I whispered to myself, grabbing my coat with shaking hands. Work meeting. Maybe. Business dinner. Maybe. I held on to those maybes like they were oxygen. Because the truth would suffocate me. The drive there felt unreal. The city lights blurred. My hands tightened on the steering wheel. Every red light felt like torture. Every second stretched longer than it should. I kept telling myself I was overreacting until I saw his car, parked right outside the hotel. That's when denial started to crack. The lobby smelled like expensive perfume and polished marble. Everything about it screamed luxury. Quiet conversations, soft piano music, perfectly dressed strangers moving like they belonged there. And I didn't, not in that moment. I felt like an outsider in my own life. I walked to the front desk, forcing my voice to stay steady. Hi, I'm here to surprise my boyfriend, Ethan Carter. Which room is he in? The receptionist smiled politely. Too politely. I'm sorry, ma'am. I can't give out that information. Of course she couldn't. But fate, or maybe cruelty, had other plans. Because just as I turned to leave, I saw him, walking out of the elevator, laughing, happy, carefree, like he wasn't destroying someone's life. And he wasn't alone. She was beside him, tall, beautiful, confident, her hand resting lightly on his arm like it belonged there, like he belonged to her. And the worst part? I knew her. Sophia, my best friend. If betrayal had a face, it would look like that moment. The two people I trusted the most, standing together, smiling, like I didn't exist. My body moved before my mind could catch up. Ethan, my voice cut through the air sharper than I expected. They both froze. Slowly, painfully slowly, they turned toward me, and I watched it happen. Shock, fear, guilt, all flashing across their faces in seconds, but not fast enough to hide it. Wow, I said, my voice eerily calm. This is convenient. Ethan stepped forward quickly. Babe, I can explain. Don't. I interrupted, holding up my hand. Please don't insult me with lies. Not right now. Sophia didn't say anything. She just stood there, silent, watching, like she was waiting to see how much damage had already been done. You told me you had a meeting? I continued, my chest tightening with every word. Is this the meeting? Ethan ran a hand through his hair in nervous habit. I knew every one of his habits. Or, at least, I thought I did. It's not what it looks like. I laughed, actually laughed, because that line, it's always what it looks like. How long? I asked. That question changed everything, because silence answered me before words ever could. Too long. Long enough to destroy everything we had. Say something. I snapped, my voice finally breaking. Ethan hesitated. And that hesitation, that was my answer. 6 months, Sophia said quietly. My head snapped toward her. Of course. Of course it was her who said it. Because why not finish what she started? 6 months. Half a year. Half a year of lies. Of fake love. Of pretending. Half a year of me building a future, while they were tearing apart behind my back. I felt something shift inside me then. Not heartbreak. Not sadness. Something colder. Something sharper. Something dangerous. Okay, I said slowly. Too calmly. Dangerously calm. Ethan frowned. Okay. I nodded. Yeah. Okay. I stepped back. Smiled. And that smile, it wasn't forgiveness. It was the beginning of something far worse. Congratulations, I said, looking between them. You deserve each other. And then I walked away. But here's the thing they didn't understand. I wasn't walking away because I was weak. I wasn't leaving because I was broken. I was leaving because I needed time. Time to think. Time to plan. Time to rebuild. Because they didn't just take my love. They took my trust, my dignity, my future. And I was going to take everything back. Not with tears. Not with begging. Not with revenge that burns fast and fades. No, I was going to do it slowly, carefully, beautifully, because the best revenge isn't destruction, it's control. And by the time I was done, they wouldn't just regret what they did. They would wish they had never met me. The strange thing about heartbreak is that the world doesn't stop when yours does. The morning after I caught them together, the sun still rose like nothing had happened. Birds still sang outside my window. People still went to work, laughed, lived their lives, while mine sat in pieces around me like broken glass I didn't yet have the strength to touch. I didn't cry. Not that night. Not the next morning. And that scared me more than anything. Because I wasn't numb anymore. I was clear. Pain had a way of sharpening everything. Every memory, every lie, every small detail I had once ignored suddenly became painfully obvious. The late nights, the distant tone, the way Ethan had started guarding his phone like it held state secrets. And Sophia, God, Sophia, the girl who used to sit on my couch, wearing my clothes, drinking my coffee, laughing with me like a sister. She hadn't just betrayed me. She had studied me, learned my routines, my weaknesses, my blind trust. And they thought they got away with it. That was their first mistake. I stood in front of my bedroom mirror that morning, staring at my reflection like I was looking at someone I didn't recognize. My hair was messy, my eyes slightly swollen, but there was something else there now. Something new, something colder. Crying won't fix this, I whispered to myself. No, but strategy would. The first thing I did was something most people wouldn't expect. I didn't block Ethan. I didn't delete his pictures. I didn't disappear. Instead, I smiled, and I texted him. I think we should talk. Simple, calm, controlled. Within seconds, my phone lit up. Please, I've been trying to reach you all night. I'm so sorry. Let me explain. Of course he was. Guilt makes people predictable. We met that evening at our usual cafe, the one where everything had started. It was almost poetic, really. Same table, same quiet music, same warm lighting. But everything felt different now, like the place itself knew what had been broken. Ethan looked terrible. Dark circles under his eyes, restless energy in the way he moved. He stood up the moment he saw me, relief flooding his face like he had been drowning, and I was oxygen. I didn't think you'd come, he said. I tilted my head slightly, offering a soft, almost forgiving smile. Why wouldn't I? That smile confused him. Good. We sat down, and for a moment, neither of us spoke. I watched him carefully, noticing things I had never paid attention to before. The way his fingers tapped nervously against the table. The way he avoided direct eye contact. Guilt, fear, regret. He was already breaking. I didn't even have to try. I messed up, he finally said, his voice low. I know I did, but it didn't mean anything. There it was, the classic lie. I leaned back slightly, crossing my arms, letting silence stretch just enough to make him uncomfortable. 6 months doesn't mean anything? I asked quietly. He winced. I was confused. You and I, we've been distant lately. Sophia was just... Don't. I cut him off again, my voice still calm but sharper now. Don't blame me for your choices. He exhaled heavily, running his hands through his hair again. I love you, he said suddenly. And for a split second, a very small, dangerous part of me wanted to believe him. But that part of me was gone now, replaced by someone smarter, stronger, colder. I leaned forward slightly, lowering my voice. Do you? He nodded quickly. Yes, of course I do. I studied his face. And then I made my move. Then prove it. Those 3 words changed everything. He blinked. What? If you love me, I said softly, then prove it. End things with her. Completely. I will, he said immediately, almost too quickly. I already have. Another lie. I knew it, but I didn't call him out. Not yet. And I continued, watching him closely. And what? And fix what you broke. He hesitated, because now we weren't talking about feelings. We were talking about effort, about consequences. I'll do anything, he said finally. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. Because here's the truth they didn't understand yet. This wasn't about getting him back. This wasn't about love anymore. This was about control. And Ethan was going to be the key to everything. Over the next few days, I played my role perfectly. Calm, understanding, slightly distant, but not gone, just enough to keep him desperate, just enough to make him chase me. He called constantly, texted even more, showed up with flowers, apologies, promises, and I accepted just enough to keep him hooked. But behind the scenes, I was building something far bigger. Because Ethan wasn't just my boyfriend. He was my business partner. Half of everything we had built together. The startup, the investments, the connections. It was all tied between us. And Sophia? She had recently joined the company. At my recommendation. The irony wasn't lost on me. Late one night, I sat at my desk, scrolling through financial reports, contracts, emails, pieces of a puzzle slowly coming together. And then I found it. The crack. Unauthorized transfers. Small at first. Easy to miss. But they added up. Money moving quietly into an account I didn't recognize. I smiled. Not because I was happy, but because now I had leverage. The next morning, I made a call. Hey, I said sweetly when Sophia picked up. We need to talk. There was a pause. She hadn't expected that. Good. About what? She asked cautiously. I looked out the window, watching the city move like nothing had changed. About everything. I replied, because the game had officially begun. And this time, I wasn't the victim anymore. I was the one in control. By the time I called Sophia, I had already rehearsed every possible outcome in my head. Shock, denial, arrogance, maybe even guilt, though I doubted that one. People like Sophia didn't feel guilt the way normal people did. They felt inconvenience, exposure, fear of losing control. And that's exactly what I was about to take from her. We met at a rooftop restaurant the next evening, the kind of place she loved, expensive, elegant, full of people who measured worth in appearances rather than truth. The city stretched out behind her like a glittering illusion, golden lights flickering against the dark sky, hiding all the ugly things beneath. Fitting, very fitting. She was already there when I arrived. Perfect posture, perfect makeup, perfect smile. Like nothing had happened. Like she hadn't spent 6 months dismantling my life piece by piece. You look good, she said as I approached, her tone light, almost casual. I smiled back, pulling out the chair across from her. So, do you? And just like that, the game began. For a few minutes, we talked like strangers pretending to be polite. Small talk, surface-level nonsense. The kind of conversation people use when they're both waiting for the real topic to explode between them. Finally, she leaned back slightly, crossing her legs. "Let's not pretend," she said. "You didn't call me here to talk about the weather." There it was, direct, confident, still playing like she had the upper hand. I tilted my head slightly, studying her. "You're right," I said calmly. I didn't. Silence fell between us. Thick, heavy, waiting. And then I placed my phone on the table, screen facing her. At first, she didn't react. She glanced at it casually, and then her expression changed, just slightly, but enough. "Where did you get this?" she asked, her voice lower now. There was no denial, no confusion. That told me everything I needed to know. I leaned forward, rested my elbows on the table, my gaze locked onto hers. "You're not as careful as you think," I said softly. The screen displayed the transaction records, dates, amounts, account numbers. Money she had been quietly moving. Money that didn't belong to her. "It's not what you think," she said quickly, but the confidence was cracking now. I almost laughed, because that line, I had heard it before. From Ethan, from her, from liars who thought they were smarter than everyone else. "Then explain it," I said simply. She hesitated. And that hesitation, that was power. "You don't understand how things work," she said finally, trying to regain control. "This is normal in business." "Stealing is normal?" I asked, raising an eyebrow. Her jaw tightened. "It's not stealing." "Then what is it?" She didn't answer, because she couldn't. For the first time since I had known her, Sophia looked unsure, and I realized something in that moment. She wasn't just afraid of being exposed. She was afraid of me. Good. "I could go to the police," I said casually, as if I were discussing dinner plans. "Or I could take this to board. Or even better, the investors." Her eyes widened slightly. There it was. Fear. Real, undeniable fear. "What do you want?" she asked quietly. Finally, the right question. I leaned back, crossing my legs slowly, letting the silence stretch just enough to make her uncomfortable again. "I want balance," I said. She frowned. "What does that mean?" "It means," I continued, my voice calm but sharp, "you don't get to destroy my life and walk away like nothing happened." Her expression hardened again, defensiveness kicking in. "You think you're innocent?" she snapped. "You think your relationship was perfect?" Ethan came to me because he was unhappy. That hit, not because it was true, but because it was designed to hurt. I held her gaze, refusing to let her see even a crack in me. "Maybe," I said quietly, "but you didn't just take advantage of a broken relationship. You created the break." Silence. Heavy. Uncomfortable. Real. "And now?" she asked. Now. That word carried everything. The past. The betrayal. The consequences waiting just beneath the surface. I picked up my glass, taking a slow sip before answering. "Now you fix it." She let out a short, humorless laugh. "You're serious?" "Very." "How exactly do you expect me to fix this?" she asked, frustration creeping into her voice. I smiled, not warmly, not kindly, but knowingly. "You're going to walk away," I said. Her brows furrowed. "From what?" "Everything." The word hung between us like a loaded weapon. "The company," I continued. "The money." "Ethan." Her eyes snapped back to mine. "You've lost your mind." "Have I?" I asked calmly. "Because from where I'm sitting, you're the one who's about to lose everything." Her breathing changed. Faster now. Less controlled. "You wouldn't dare," she said, but there was no confidence left in her voice. "I already did," I replied softly. "You just haven't realized it yet." Because while she had been busy playing games behind my back, I had been rewriting the rules entirely. Contract had been reviewed. Clauses had been activated. Access had been quietly restricted. And Ethan? Ethan was already slipping back into my orbit, exactly where I needed him to be. "You have two choices," I said finally, standing up from my seat. You walk away quietly, or I make sure you don't just lose your career. I leaned in slightly, my voice dropping to a whisper. You lose your reputation too. I straightened, smoothing my coat as if we had just finished a pleasant conversation. And trust me, I added, meeting her gaze one last time, that's something you'll never get back. For a moment, she just sat there, frozen, processing, realizing, and then I turned and walked away. But as I stepped into the elevator, watching the doors slowly close, one thought echoed in my mind. This wasn't over, not even close, because taking everything back wasn't just about destroying them. It was about rebuilding myself, stronger, untouchable, unrecognizable. And the next phase? That was where things would truly begin to fall apart. Power doesn't arrive all at once. It builds quietly, piece by piece, until one day you realize you're no longer reacting to the world. You're controlling it. After that night with Sophia, something shifted permanently, not just in her, in everything. The company atmosphere changed first, subtle at the beginning, almost unnoticeable to anyone who wasn't looking closely. Conversations would stop when Sophia walked into a room. Emails she sent weren't getting the same quick responses. Meetings she used to lead confidently now felt tense, uncertain, like people were starting to question her. Not openly, not yet, but doubt spreads fast. And I made sure of it. I didn't expose her immediately. That would have been too easy, too quick, too clean. No, I wanted her to feel it. The slow unraveling, the quiet panic, the suffocating realization that something was slipping and she couldn't stop it. Meanwhile, Ethan was falling apart. He started showing up at my apartment unannounced again, just like before. But this time, it was different. Before, it was love that brought him to me. Now, it was desperation. I ended things with her, he said one night, standing in my doorway, his voice heavy, almost broken. For real this time. It's done. I leaned against the frame, arms crossed, studying him carefully. You already said that once. I mean it now, he insisted, stepping closer. I made a mistake, a huge one, but we can fix this. You and me, we've been through too much to just throw it away. There it was, the version of him I used to love. Vulnerable, honest, real. For a brief second, my chest tightened. Memories flashed. Laughter, late nights, plans we had made. A future that no longer existed. But I didn't let it show. Not anymore. Can we? I asked quietly. He nodded quickly. Yes, of course we can. I held his gaze for a long moment, and then I stepped aside. Come in. That was all it took. Hope lit up his face instantly, and I let him believe it. Because hope makes people blind. Over the next few days, I let Ethan back into my life. Carefully, measured, controlled, dinner together, long conversations, small touches that meant more to him than they did to me. And slowly, predictably, he started trusting me again, opening up, talking more, telling me things he didn't even realize he was revealing. Things at the office feel weird, he admitted one evening, running a hand through his hair. People are acting different around Sophia. I raised an eyebrow slightly, pretending to be unaware. Different how? I don't know, distant. Like they don't trust her. I took a slow sip of my drink, hiding the small smile that threatened to appear. Maybe they don't. He frowned. You think something's going on? I looked at him for a moment, just long enough. Don't you? And just like that, the seed of doubt was planted. Meanwhile, Sophia wasn't staying quiet. 2 days after our meeting, she showed up at my office, unannounced, uninvited, furious. She didn't even bother knocking properly before pushing the door open. What did you do? She demanded, her voice sharp, controlled anger barely holding together. I didn't look up immediately. I finished typing my sentence, saved the file, then slowly raised my eyes to meet hers. What are you talking about? I asked calmly. Her jaw tightened. Don't play games with me. People are talking. Access to certain accounts has been restricted. Meetings are being scheduled without me. I leaned back in my chair slightly, folding my hands together. Sound like consequences. Her eyes flashed. You think you're smart? She snapped. You think you can just ruin me and walk away clean? I tilted my head slightly. Ruin you? I repeated softly. Sophia, I didn't do anything. That was the most terrifying part, because technically, it was true. I hadn't accused her publicly. I hadn't exposed the evidence. I hadn't made a scene. I had simply moved things into place. You have no proof, she said, but there was uncertainty in her voice now. I smiled. Small, controlled. Are you sure about that? Silence. Heavy. Suffocating. For the first time since she walked in, Sophia hesitated. You're making a mistake, she said finally, but her tone had shifted. Less aggressive. More cautious. I stood up slowly, walking around the desk until I was standing just a few feet away from her. No, I said quietly. I made a mistake when I trusted you. Her expression flickered, just for a second, but I saw it. Regret? Maybe. Or maybe just the realization that she had underestimated me. You don't scare me, she said, trying to regain control. I stepped closer, close enough that my voice didn't need to be loud. I'm not trying to scare you, I whispered. A pause. Then, I'm ending you. The words landed exactly the way I intended. She didn't respond, didn't argue, didn't threaten. She just stared at me, and for the first time, she looked like she understood. This wasn't a fight anymore. It was a war, and she was losing. The final move came faster than she expected, faster than Ethan expected, faster than anyone expected. The board meeting was scheduled for Friday morning. Mandatory attendance. Sophia walked in like she still had control, like she could still fix this, like she wasn't already standing on the edge of collapse. Ethan sat beside me, nervous, unaware, still thinking this was just another business meeting. He glanced at me once, soft smile, trusting, and for a moment, I almost felt something. Almost. But then the meeting started, and everything changed. Before we begin, I said, standing up slowly, my voice steady, clear, impossible to ignore, there's something important we need to address. The room fell silent. All eyes turned toward me, and across the table. Sophia froze, because she knew it was over. There's a moment in every storm when the wind stops fighting you, not because it's over, but because it knows you've already lost. That's exactly what the room felt like when I stood there, at the head of the table, surrounded by people who had no idea they were about to witness the complete destruction of someone's carefully built illusion. The air was still, heavy, expectant. Before we continue, I repeated, my voice calm but firm, I believe there are some financial inconsistencies that need be addressed. A murmur rippled across the table. Confusion, curiosity, and then fear. I didn't look at Sophia immediately. I didn't need to. I could feel it. Her panic was almost tangible now. Thick, suffocating, spreading like smoke in a closed room. Ethan shifted slightly beside me. What's going on? He whispered under his breath. I didn't answer him. Not yet. Instead, I reached the remote and pressed a single button. The screen behind me lit up. Numbers, dates, transactions. Clear, undeniable, silence, absolute silence. And then, what is this? One of the board members asked, his voice sharp. I finally turned my head and looked directly at Sophia. This, I said slowly, is a pattern of unauthorized financial transfers made over the past 6 months. 6 months. The same timeline as the betrayal. The same timeline as the lies. The same timeline as everything that had been stolen from me. Sophia stood up abruptly. This is ridiculous, she snapped, but her voice betrayed her. It wasn't strong anymore. It wasn't confident. It was cracking. These accusations are baseless. You have no proof. I interrupted softly, and then I smiled, because this was the moment everything changed. I was hoping you'd say that. Another click, another screen, signed approvals, digital trails, account connections, everything, complete, detailed, unavoidable. Gasps filled the room. People leaned forward, whispering, analyzing, realizing. And Sophia? She stopped talking, because there was nothing left to say. Ethan stood up slowly beside me. "What the hell is this?" he asked, his voice filled with disbelief as he looked between me and Sophia. I turned toward him for the first time, really looked at him, and for a split second, I saw the man I used to love. Confused, hurt, broken. But then I remembered everything. "You tell me," I said quietly. His eyes snapped to Sophia, and that's when it hit him. Not just the betrayal, but the truth. She hadn't just taken him from me. She had used him too. I didn't know," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. And for once, I believed him. But belief didn't change anything. Because damage doesn't disappear just because someone didn't see it happening. The room erupted into chaos. Voices raised. Questions fired. Decisions demanded. Security was called. Investigations were ordered. And Sophia? Sophia stood there, alone, completely exposed. Her perfect image shattered in seconds. Her confidence gone. Her future slipping through her fingers. As they escorted her out, she turned once, just once, and looked at me. There was no arrogance left, no superiority, no control, just one question burning in her eyes. How? I didn't answer it. I didn't need to, because she already knew. She underestimated me, and that was her biggest mistake. The meeting ended shortly after, but the real aftermath, that came later. Ethan found me on the balcony outside. The city stretched endlessly in front of us, lights glowing like nothing had changed. But everything had. "You knew," he said quietly. Not a question, a realization. "Yes," I replied. "For how long?" I took a slow breath, the cool air brushing against my skin. "Long enough." He let out a hollow laugh. I thought we could fix things." I turned to face him fully. And for the first time since all of this began, I let him see the truth in my eyes. "You didn't just break us, Ethan," I said softly. "You replaced me while still holding on to me. You lied to my face every single day for 6 months." He looked down, ashamed, destroyed. "I was stupid," he admitted. "I thought I could have both. I thought I wouldn't get caught. Honest. Finally. But too late. I did love you," he added quietly. I nodded. "I know." And that was the hardest part, because love had been real, at least for me. But love without respect, without loyalty, it doesn't survive. "I'm not asking for forgiveness," he said. "Good," I replied gently, "because you won't get it." Silence settled between us. Not angry, not explosive. Final. "I hope you find what you're looking for," he said eventually. I gave a small, almost sad smile. I already did. And then I walked away, not because I was running, but because I was done. Weeks passed. The company stabilized. Stronger than before. Cleaner. Mine. Sophia disappeared from the industry almost overnight. No one wanted to be associated with her. Her reputation? Destroyed. Exactly like I promised. Ethan left too. Not fired. Not forced. He just couldn't stay. And me? I rebuilt everything. But more importantly, I rebuilt myself. Stronger, sharper, untouchable. Because in the end, this was never just about revenge. It was about reclaiming what was mine. My power, my voice, my life. They thought they took everything from me. But they were wrong. Because when the dust settled, when the lies burned away, when the truth stood tall and undeniable, I didn't just get my life back. I became someone they could never break again. And that was the real victory.